Boating industry professionals, welcome to the Boating Business Success podcast, where we bring influential leaders from the boating industry and we talk about their success stories, the lessons that they have learned, and we talk about exclusive strategies for you to be more successful in the boating industry. Today, I have Ken Clinton, president from Intrepid Powerboats from Largo, Florida. And I'm truly humbled and honored to have you here, Ken. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Jose. I appreciate it. Good to be here.
Awesome. So let's get started. Could you please give us a brief description of Intrepid Powerboats?
Sure. So we're a semi-custom boat builder that have been around since 1983. And basically we build center consoles in cabin type cruiser boats, anywhere from 30 to 51 feet. And, everything that we build is per customer, set up the way that they want it. And we pride ourselves in leading in innovation.
Okay, awesome. And so in terms of size, sales, unit sales, team size, and locations, could you expand a little bit about that?
Sure. So we're about 350 employees here at the Largo facility. I have a factory with about 5 different buildings on 7.5 acres. And we do roughly $75 million a year, gross sales. And I have a sales office in Harbortown Marina and Dania Beach, which is right outside of Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay. And how many units is that?
That's roughly probably 80 units.
Okay, a year.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
And so, Ken, how did you get started in the industry?
Well, that's a funny story. I'm originally from Connecticut, now a little town in Connecticut called Danielson. And my father was a sheet metal mechanic at General Dynamics Electric Boat Division in Groton, where they built submarines. So when I got out of school, I did the same thing. I followed suit and I built submarines. I was a first class outside machinist. We built 688s, Fast Attacks, Seawolf, Trident submarines. And I got married very young and ended up taking my honeymoon in February when we got married. And so I think it was a foot of snow on the ground when we left Providence, Rhode Island airport, and we landed in Tampa because we went to Busch Gardens for a honeymoon. And I'll never forget getting off the plane and going, can't believe that they have green grass in February down here. It blew my mind because I was born and raised in Connecticut. So we spent a week down here, and I'll never forget on the flight back, I looked at my wife at the time and I said, why do I have to wait till I'm too old to enjoy this kind of weather? So, when you're 19 years old, fear nothing, So we went back, packed up all our stuff, and we moved to St. Pete, Florida. So I got down here, and at the time I was working for the government, so I made really good money back then. And I think back then I was making $13 an hour, which was a lot of money. And I figured, you know what, there'll be less money. I'll make 10. So I get down here, I'm starting to get interviews, and I'm hearing $6 an hour, and I'm like having a heart attack trying to figure out how I'm going to make it. And that was doing CNC machinist work. And then I saw an ad in the paper for called Triumph Yachts that was looking for an MEP installer. And I'm very mechanically inclined. So I applied for the job, and I'll never forget this guy, Henry, interviewed me. And he said, son, what makes you think you could build boats? And I said, well, I build submarines, so I'll do everything opposite and it'll float instead of sink. And he went, I like you, kid. And he gave me an opportunity. So I came in as an MEP installer for these 34-foot sedan inboards. We did everything from 454 Mercuries to Crusaders, all inboard. So I did all the underwater gear, steering, all this stuff, and fuel tanks, hull prep. And within a month, they asked me to be a lead person. So I think my work ethic was very different than the work ethic that was around me. So I really shined. And the luxury tax went through, really devastated our industry. And then Intrepid moved into town. It was owned by a Japanese gentleman named Yoshiro Katami. He moved it into the old plant on 62nd Avenue where Viking used to be. Because during that same luxury tax, Viking consolidated and left the big facility empty here. So Mr. Katami saw that there was an opportunity to have a boat factory that's already pre-existing with a bunch of labor in the area that didn't have jobs. So with that being said, I went to Intrepid. I started off as a lead person in Station 1, and that's how my career started here at Intrepid Powerboat.
Interesting. And so you were promoted within a month to a leadership position.
Yeah, at Triumph. And then here, I started off just as a craftsperson building boats. And within 6 months, I think they asked me to be a lead person of Station 1. And then probably another year after that, I became a line supervisor. A couple of years after that, I became a plant manager. Then a couple of years after that, I became vice president of manufacturing. A couple of years after that, I became COO. And then 15 years ago, I became the president and CEO of Intrepid Powerboat.
Awesome. To what do you attribute that success in climbing all the different positions? You mentioned your work ethic. What other values or things were different in you that helped you make that progression?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that I dedicated myself to the brand. I worked whatever hours I needed to work. I mean, there were times that I literally didn't go home for 2 days in order to pull off a project for a boat show. And I think when you show that kind of dedication, you show the passion for what you're doing and what you believe in, and you need to have an uncanny ability to learn. People talk about intelligence and IQ and how smart people are. And I think what's more important is just your ability to learn. If you can absorb knowledge and hold it and retain it, and more importantly, learn from your mistakes. I've made a million mistakes and I still make mistakes, but I've learned how to recognize the mistake and put some type of procedure in place to make sure that I don't replicate that mistake. And because I got very good at that as a leader, I can implement those same procedures, and now I can affect 350 people with those procedures instead of just myself.
Mm-hmm. So it's work ethic, commitment to the brand, learning from mistakes. What was a memorable or a defining experience that you had in your early days at Intrepid?
I think for me in the early days, I had the luxury of being taught by older craftspeople. They were tough. Let me tell you, it was a different world back then. They didn't care about your feelings back then. Let me tell you, I'll never forget. I'll never forget. I was a new kid and I was decking a boat and I'm scribing all this furniture, fitting this deck on a boat. And back then, the furniture was way too tall and you had a lot of cutting to do to get the deck down on the boat. And this guy, Barry, walks over to me one time and he has a box in his hand. And he says, "What's your last name, kid?" And I said, "Clint." And I have no idea why he's asking. And he's got this box and I see him writing on this box. And then he asked me, "How long you been here? How long you been on this boat?" I said, "A couple days, man. Like, what's up?" So he keeps writing on this box and he takes this little red thing and he puts it on the side and makes the box open from the front. And I'm watching him out of the corner of my eye, not paying attention, trying not to pay attention because I'm trying to get this deck on this boat. So then he takes this box and he puts it on the gunnel of the boat and he tapes it down and he flips this little red thing up on the side and it has my name on the side of the box. And he said, "Look, if you're going to live on this boat, you might as well get your mail here." So that was this way of telling me that I was taking way too long to do the process that I was doing. I had another guy who was Andy, who was training me, and I'm sweeping the floor. And he comes over to me, he goes, "What are you doing, Clinton?" I said, "What do you think I'm doing? I'm sweeping the floor. You guys tell me at the end of the day, clean up the area." He goes, "Yeah, but how are you sweeping the floor?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me, man? Like, what? Like, what is the problem here?" And I was sweeping and I was going like this. So I'd put the broom down and I'd pull it to me and I'm pulling stuff away from the wall. And he said, "So is that called a pull broom or is that called a push broom? Because you're pulling it when you should be pushing it." I mean, that's how tough it was back when I was doing it. So I look back on it. At the time, I was not a happy guy. Looking back on it as an older guy now, realizing that those are the things that build you, are your mentors. And a lot of times at that age, you don't even realize that the people that are talking to you are a mentor. As you get older and wiser and you look back on those moments, that's 34 years ago. And I remember it like it was yesterday. So clearly it was impactful. And those are the things that build character, how you learn and how you develop into being a young man.
Awesome. And so you had these virtues, mentors. What were some of the main lessons that you learned in addition to that during those early days?
As we said earlier, being able to learn from your mistakes, being able to figure out ways to stop those mistakes from happening again, putting proper procedures in place, learning how to build a team, learning how to create loyalty. You're only as good as the people that are around you. Um, you can be a rock star, and if you don't have the support and the loyalty of the team, you'll go nowhere. You're only as good as those people. And that was something I learned a long time ago. And I'm blessed. I have an amazing team around me, but you also have to be able to identify key people. You have to be careful. I've ruined some good employees and craftspeople by taking them too far. There were some people that I saw such potential in that I took further than I should have, that were great as a craftsperson, should have stayed a craftsperson. And then there's others that I was able to take very far, and they were sponges the way I was, and absorbed the knowledge and grew. So, it's a lot of what I call cause and effect. So you have a certain cause that creates a certain effect, and you learn from it, and unfortunately there's a lot of mistakes that get made along the way. But once again, if you can learn from it, by the time you get to be my age, your experience really allows you to really next level people that are on your team.
Got it. And so how do you build a team? How do you cultivate the culture within the team and also grow the team members?
I think the biggest thing is working closely with them, being able to work closely with them, being able to listen. That was one of the things I had to learn early, was you don't know everything, and it's important that you listen and you give people the opportunity to be a part of it and make decisions with you. You don't have to make all the decisions for them, because the other part is when you allow them to make some of the decisions that are part of these meetings, they have DNA in the product. And when they have their DNA in the product, they believe in it and they fight for it, and the quality of it means everything to them. They're proud. They're proud of the reputation of the product that we're putting out there. And, I think those are the types of things that allows you to grow an amazing team. Recognition. You follow me on LinkedIn or some of the other, sites. One of the things I always make sure is I recognize my team. And I tell them all the time in the meetings, I go to boat shows and I'm blessed to be the face of the company, where I have people coming up to me all day long saying, you built the most amazing boats in the world. You're amazing. And I tell my team, I have the luxury of hearing all that, but I'm not the one building the boats anymore. Back in the day, yeah, I used to build them, but I'm not. I said, you guys are, and you guys should be really proud. I mean, I get the accolades, but I'm not the builder anymore. And making sure that they understand that I understand that, because there's lots of times as a craftsperson, when I worked on the floor, I felt that maybe I wasn't recognized or maybe I wasn't appreciated. And that's one of the luxuries that I have, because I went from the lowest position in the company to the highest, is I know what it feels like to be out there. I know what it's like to be 110 degrees, covered in fiberglass dust, gel coat in my hair with 5200 adhesive underneath my fingernails. So, I tell them all the time, I'm one of you, like, been in the bilge doing what you do, and you get a different type of respect from that. I was on the board of directors of the NMMA for a while, and I sat with lots of other leaderships from different companies, and a bunch of very amazing people. But there were times that I could clearly see that a lot of the people in the room had never built a boat before, ever. They good leaders, but in the same token, could not give the same experience or advice to staff on the line the way that I could because I lived it. And that goes a long way on the floor.
Yeah. It's very rare to see a leader on like the top that went literally from the bottom and learned all the positions.
Yeah,
Definitely it's a blessing.
for sure.
And you mentioned social media. You have 340,000 followers on Instagram. LinkedIn is like about 15,000. When did that start and why?
It all really started around the pandemic. So the pandemic, it was probably the most depressing time ever. If you remember, we look back at it now and it was like, at the time, like we thought the world was ending.
Yeah.
We didn't up how it was going to. It was crazy. I look back at it now. I remember bringing groceries home and wiping every grocery down and taking all
Yeah.
my clothes off in the garage before I'd go back in the house. And it was such a big deal. And it was just everything was so negative. So I started doing something where I would go in on a Saturday and I'd wear an inspirational t-shirt. So I would go online, I'd find something that had a great tagline. And then eventually I got to a point where I found a shirt company that I could write my own saying on it with my own text, and I could put it on the shirt wherever I wanted to. And in a few days, they'd mail it to me and I had it. And I did it because it was so negative, and I just wanted to pick spirits up. And I just wanted to show people that it's going to be okay and to keep fighting and we got this. And so I did that for a while. I stopped eventually. It was a lot, and you can only own so many t-shirts, let me tell you, right? So so then I started getting DMs on social media from people saying, why didn't you post on Saturday? And where was your shirt? And I can't even have coffee on Saturday until I see what shirt you were wearing that day. And what I didn't realize is it became a thing, and that wasn't the goal. That's not what I was shooting for. I was just trying to be positive. Um, And then as I really started gaining followers and started getting more interactions with people, I started thinking about some of the questions that I was getting. And I was getting lots of questions about boat building because people don't understand what happens behind the curtain, and I would get questions like, how do you pour a boat in the mold? Well, you don't pour a boat in the mold. So as I would continue to get these questions, I realized more and more that people just really didn't have a clue how boats are made. And I thought, you know what? It's a great opportunity for me to show people how we do what we do. And I don't beat up the competition. Instead of talking negatively about other boat companies, let me just show why we're the best, and what better way to show people that we're the best powerboat manufacturer in the world than to take them behind the scene, show how everything gets built, how we put it together, what separates us from the rest. And it's something that's really taken off. And over the years, the amount of feedback that I got is huge. It's crazy how much it's grown. I go to a boat show and I'm in a restaurant or anything and I get, Ken, the boat go, and, and it's amazing how they all come up to me. They all say the same thing. Like, I know you don't know me, but I feel like I know you and I watch all your videos and it's touching. It's really touching for me. That wasn't the goal going into it. But I'll also say, I think the other part of it was boats have become very expensive, extremely expensive. And I would love to tell you that I'm making tons of money doing it, but we're not. We're fighting to keep pricing low to be able to sell product. But people don't realize what it takes to build a boat. So lately, even the stuff that I'm doing is in the design stage. We're designing it. We're showing how we're creating a plug and how we're making a mold off the plug. And then after we make the mold, we can make the part. People are going, wow, we had no idea how labor intensive it is to do this. And it's like, yeah, that's why boats are so expensive. Like, it's not because we're over here getting rich, taking advantage of people for the pricing that we're getting for boats. Like, our craftspeople make a lot of money and they deserve it. They deserve every penny they get because they're talented in an environment that people don't want to build anything with their hands anymore. So when you have that, you have to take care of those people. So we're proud to do so and give them good benefits and all that stuff. But between the labor, the materials, the time that goes into it, it helps people understand why boats are so expensive.
Yeah. Love it. It's really It's amazing the organization that you've built, the movement that you built. It's inspirational, it's educational. Did you envision becoming the president, creating this movement? What drove you? What vision or goals did you have in mind when you started?
It's funny you say that. So the social media and the following side of it, never. I never really thought that would happen like that. That wasn't the plan. But it's funny that you asked that question because there's a guy that I used to work with 34 years ago, Frankie Aquilano, who tells the story to people all the time. He would tell people that, and it is true. I remember telling him probably within my first year there that someday I was going to run the entire company. And it's kind of like you manifest it. You manifest it, you set your goals, and you work towards those goals. And I'm a big believer in karma. I believe the universe gives you back what you put out. And I've always done business the right way. I've always been fair. I care about not only my team members as family, but also our customers. And I think it's important that when you treat everybody that way, you get that back tenfold for sure. And I think that positive energy that has been brought back to me has just continued to help elevate me through my career.
That's amazing. So you set that goal. How long did it took you to become the president after you said it?
Probably 19 years. Yeah, 19 years.
Long time, keeping that goal in
Yeah.
mind.
And, I talk to people all the time that other opportunities, when people work here, they get a lot of good experience and then a lot of big companies want to poach my people so they can take the stuff that we've learned here to their facility. And I have them come in and they want to talk to me and they have this opportunity and maybe it's more money or a better position. And I always tell them that one of the things that brought me success is I've stayed, I've stayed and look, every year you get another raise and you make more money and you can stay and you learn and you get comfortable and you're able to go through all the things that I've gone through at this company and learn from the bottom up the way that everybody here that's a manager has done it the same way. My entire team is that way. And the philosophy today that I see online, I don't know it firsthand, but they encourage people, jump around, go to different companies, learn at different things in different ways. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but that's not what brought me success. And as I mentor people here, it's come true for them. My VP of manufacturing has been with me for 20 years. My VP of engineering has been with me for 15 years. I have many employees here that have been with me for over 30 years. I have my VP of customer service has been here for 22 years. These are all people that have grown with me. And I always compare it to a rock band. You see these rock bands out there and they come together and they create something really special. And then some people's heads get big and they think they can do better things on their own. And the band breaks up and the lead singer is going to go through a solo career. So won't the guitar player and the drummer. And in some cases, very rarely, that solo career works out. But at some point, the band always has to come together again because that's how the magic happens.
Yeah.
And that's what happens for me when I'm in a meeting with my top team members and whether it's a new design or a different way to affect production or how to create efficiency, we all have little bits and pieces that we put in. And that's when the magic happens because I'll say one thing and then this person says this and then, yeah, we can do that too. Maybe this could, and that's magic. But the magic comes with chemistry. Chemistry comes with time. So everybody has to put that time.
Yeah, definitely. And it's rare to see companies with team members that have been for so long. And normally those companies are the most successful.
Yeah.
So how has the company changed since you started in terms of the values of the team and the culture and the philosophy of the company?
Well, I think we've carried the same type of philosophy throughout all the years. We want to build the best boat first and foremost. We want to make sure that we overbuild it It's not like a car when you break down on the side of the road, you can just call a tow truck to come get you or an Uber to come get you. You're out in the middle of the ocean. You're out in the middle of the ocean. You're out there with your kids, your wife, your husband, or any family member. And when somebody buys an Intrepid, they expect us to get them home every time. And when they go out, it could be beautiful weather and storms come out of nowhere unexpectedly and sea conditions change in an instant. And we make sure that we build a boat that's going to get you home. And so that's been huge. That's been something that we've always had a philosophy for. Also, the customer service. If you go online and you Google us from a customer service standpoint, we're probably rated the highest in the industry because, we make sure that we take care of you. Our team with Joe Brenna and Bryson and the rest of the crew up there are people that they'll answer the phone on Sunday. They'll answer the phone on Thanksgiving Day because we believe that we are only as good as our customers are. They're the ones that help us keep the lights on. If it wasn't for them, we would not exist. And we recognize that. So we treat them as such. So it's like that. It's treating our employees and our craftspeople with respect. It's appreciating them. It's all these different factors that come into play that creates a dynasty. And that's my goal. My goal is to know that 200 years after I'm gone, that this continues to be the best powerboat building company in the world. And that starts with the foundation that I built here with this team over the last 34 years. And I'll say so far, so good.
Yeah, definitely. And so quality, customer service, and then the team, what other values are there? I know innovation is another one.
Yeah, innovation is a big thing. Innovation and being able to listen to not only your employees, but listen to your customers. People talk to me all the time about, they'll say, Ken, you and your team are the best designers in the world. And I always correct them. And I go, no, our customers are, because that's where the ideas come from. Don't get me wrong. We have to figure out how to do it. But I think in a lot of cases, a lot of manufacturers are so caught up in trying to tell a customer what he needs or she needs. They're, no, you don't want that. And this is what you want to do. And then this is how you want to set it up. And that's not how we are. We listen. We ask how you can use the boat and what's important to you. And over the years, because we have such tight customer service, we hear everything that they like and don't like. And that's what shapes the new designs. I'll give you an example. I had a run of shorter people buying boats. It's funny. I call it the vertically challenged, tried to see over center console. And I had one of the customers give me a hard time. Walter, great guy, love him. And he goes, Ken, not everybody's 6'2" like you. And short people have money too. And he was right, So I had a run of people asking me to build these little step boxes. So you build this little step box for them to stand on so they have better visibility. You have to make sure that it's secured properly to the sole of the boat so it's safe. And you also want to make it so it's quickly removable so that if somebody taller comes along and they don't want to stand on it, then you got to figure out where you're going to store it. So, one weekend I'm working in my garage on my Harley Davidson. I have it up on a scissor lift and I had this thought and I was like, I have an idea. So I go to work on Monday and I go up to my engineering team and I go, guys, I have an idea. And every time I do that, they go, oh God, here he goes again. Like I'm the mad scientist that comes up with these ideas. And I said, so all of these guys that are wanting these step boxes, what if we take and build an insert and we put it in the mold, which creates a cavity in the sole of the boat. Then we're going to make a fiberglass box similar to the one that we're mounting on top, but we're going to sink it into the floor. I have a scissor lift that I've been using on my Harley, which is low profile, that can create lift. We'll just build this box that's flush with the sole of the boat, the floor, and we'll push a button and it's going to rise up out of the sole of the boat, give people of different heights the visibility that makes them feel comfortable. Because that's the other thing is boating for people is not second nature. It's not like a car. When you've driven in a car your entire life, so now you became 15, 16 years old and you get in a car and you're going to learn how to drive it. You've been watching somebody drive this car and sitting in this car your entire life. So you're very familiar with it. Not the same with the boat. So whatever you can do to make someone feel more at ease at the helm of a boat, you should do. And visibility is huge. So we come up with this design and it works and it rises up and it's funny. So we're at a boat show and my guys to this day think that I staged this whole thing and I swear I did not. I swear. So this lady gets on the boat. It's a 34 Valor. We're standing in a circle next to it. She starts saying, why would anybody buy a boat like this when you can't see anything? She was pretty short. And I looked over and I go, ma'am, excuse me for a minute. So there's a little button that says platform. So it was a rocker switch. I go, push the top of that button. And she's standing on it and she pushes it and it starts moving. And she goes like this. And I go, no, 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 no. It's okay. Hold the button down. Hold the button down. So she holds the button down and the whole thing rises up. And she looks over the console. She looks over at her husband. And she goes, that's amazing. We need this boat. I turned around and told everybody, don't you ever question me again when I come up with an idea. And they went, you did this on purpose. And you said, I go, no, 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 no. I swear to God. And it's true. But, it's having relationship with customers that tell you the things that they have issue with or what could be better or, so many manufacturers get so caught up emotionally by somebody giving them constructive criticism. Like somebody's telling them that their baby is ugly, and it's not. You have to take it with an open mind, put your ego in your back pocket and listen. And if you're able to do that, that's where the gold comes from. I go to boat shows and my team goes to boat shows to sell boats. I go to boat shows to mine for data. That's my opportunity to listen to what's good, what's bad, what I wish you would have done, what I love that you did do. So when we're doing that next design, I can take all that feedback and I can use it to create that next new model. And it's all based on them. It's them really designing the boat and us just figuring out how to do it.
That's amazing. It's like a laboratory.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
and so you mentioned in your talk at the boat show breakfast, don't be afraid to be a disruptor.
Yes.
I can imagine that you've gotten a lot of pushback by trying to disrupt. What's your favorite story about a resistance or pushback that you received when proposing a new idea and how you overcame it?
There's a bunch. I'll try to give it to you quickly. So one of the first ones right off the bat back in the day was we build a lot of tenders. And tenders are these boats that you use to get from the super yacht to land when there's no docking for the super yacht. So they have to anchor offshore and they go back and forth. But the super yachts are these beautiful, gorgeous boats. And they want a tender that not only can withstand the punishment of being towed behind it, but they want it to be aesthetically pleasing. They want it to look beautiful, just like the super yacht. Well, back in the day, we only did outboards. I mean, that's all we've ever done is outboards. But the pushback that I got from customers back then was that outboards were ugly. So let's say that the super yacht was this beautiful aqua blue with a red stripe. So I would do this boat that was beautiful aqua blue with a red stripe. They got Mercury engines that have black engines and a bit Yamahas that have gray engines. And the super yacht owners were used to having it exactly the way they want. They were like, but Ken, you build a great boat, but that's ugly. So at one point I said, look, paint the engine. What if I paint the engines to match the boat? And I'll digitize the labels, the decals, and I'll paint the engine white to match the boat. And I'll do blue letterings with red pinstriping to match the blue and the red on the side of the hull. And it was a hit. All of a sudden I started getting phone calls. You can't paint our engines. I go, what do you mean I can't paint your engines? They said, you're changing our brand. Whether our brand is black, Mercury, or our brand is gray for Yamaha, you can't change our brand. Well, I'm telling you, I'm painting your engine. And it's the difference between me selling a boat or not. And then we're not going to warranty any corrosion on the engines. And you're going to have to cover all the warranty. And I said, fine, I'll cover all the warranty because the paint that I'm using is better than the paint that you're using anyway. And it goes on. It was another situation where I was building bigger boats. and I needed longer engines, which means longer lower units. And they only went up to 30 inches. I needed 35 inches. Go to the manufacturer. I told them, I need 35-inch engine. All the manufacturers said, there's no market for it. I said, look, either you're going to do it, I'm going to do it myself. And they go, can't do that. So we did. So I went to a guy named Bob Latham, and he used to do these 5-inch extensions to make 25s, 30s. So I said, all right, now I want to make 30s, 35s, but I don't want to sleeve them. I want them to be one piece. We want to do a carrier bearing to make sure that the length stays the same as if it were a 30. And so we do all this engineering. Bob Latham, brilliant man, helps us make the dream a reality. And I get phone calls again. What is this? You're doing 35-inch engine. Yeah. Well, if you do this, we're not going to warranty the lower units. We're not going to cover anything. And anything goes wrong, you're going to eat the warranty. And I don't care. Fine. I will. And it's all about knowing it's the right thing for your customer, for your industry, for your company. And it's funny because those same things later all come to fruition. Remember 10 years after that, getting a phone call from Mercury saying, hey, Ken, we're wondering if we could send our engineering team down to talk to you for a little bit. Sure. What about? Well, we're thinking about doing this project called Cold Fusion. We want to do white engines now. You go, oh, now you want to do white engines now. Same thing with 35-inch shafts. If you go to Yamaha now and you go to Mercury now, guess what? They have 35-inch shafts. And I have a million stories like that. And look, I'm going to also tell you that it's scary, because you play tough guy and you go, I don't care. I'll paint the engines anyway. I don't care. I'm changing lower units anyway. And they go, you're going to warranty it. I go, fine. I'm going to warranty it. I don't care. But I'll tell you, when you lay it out at night, you're a little scared.
Yeah.
Because this could go wrong, man. like this could go really wrong, because if this fails, it's going to cost our company a lot of money because I stuck to my guns. But I'll also say good common sense comes into play along with an amazing team. I was able to do the things that I've done over the years because I had confidence in the people around. It all goes back to what I told you earlier about you're only as good as the people that are around you. And I've always been blessed to have amazing people around me, especially to this day. And that gives you confidence. That's the things that you stand on the shoulders of those people that give you strength. So I have the guts to go, guess what? I'm doing it anyway, because I believe that my team is good enough to make sure that we're going to be okay. And luckily it's worked out.
That's so cool. And an example for all their manufacturers.
Yeah.
And even dealers and brokers. So it's customer research, understanding them, then having the courage to disrupt and to say that you're going to disrupt and move forward, determination when you face the pushback, and then having the team and being willing to take on the responsibilities if something goes wrong.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a great formula right there.
It's worked so far. I'll be honest with you. There's been a few times I was like, oh. Man, I hope this is the right decision. But you go with your gut. You go with your gut and you go with your team and you look across the table at your team and you go, what do you think, guys? Let's do it. What do you think? And they look at you and they give you that look back and they go, game on. And you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. It has shaped the industry a lot.
Yeah, it has.
And so, Ken, what are the different customer groups or target markets for Intrepid?
Well, one of them I mentioned earlier was tenders. We do a lot of tenders for super yachts. That's what we're known for. It's kind of really where we got our start. Nobody wanted the tender market because boats would get destroyed. If you think about a super yacht pulling a 30-foot boat behind it through 8-foot seas, the super yacht seems to be handling it quite well. The poor boat being dragged behind it's getting punished. I remember captains would come in and they'd go, Ken, you build the best tender ever. And I'd go, thanks, man. No, I appreciate it. And he'd go, no, you don't understand. We would pull through storms and we would look back at the Intrepid and you couldn't even see the boat. You'd see the line running through the wave and you wouldn't even see the boat. And then the Intrepid would bust through the wave and then land in the bottom of the next one. I'm like, oh my God, don't tell me what, I don't want to hear this. Like, it's crazy. But in the beginning, nobody wanted that market because the boats would get destroyed. When you're a small company and you want market share, we were desperate. We were like, we'll take any market share. Like, you know what? Nobody wants to build tenders. We'll build tenders. And so the philosophy was, you know what? We're going to overbuild the boat. We're going to build this thing to where you can pull it through anything. You can run through anything. It's funny because to this day, we do it the same way. The same assembly process where we hand glass all the stringers and bulkheads to the sole of the boat, stuff that nobody does anymore. We do because it's brought us success. You have to remember what brought you to the dance. So the tender market was big for us. A lot of our customers are customers that want things a certain way. And because we're semi-custom, they can sit with us and they can do a design session and say, you know, I wish this cabinet was a little bit fuller, or I wish it was a little bit wider. Instead of the pushback that they get from other manufacturers, most manufacturers say, that's how it comes. And I get it because all of those custom things are inefficient. You know, they want to put the round peg in the round hole and the square peg in the square hole over and over and over again because it's efficient. It helps with your margins.
Yeah.
Believe me, I understand. But for us, because that's the only way we've ever done it, we do it pretty well. So does it affect our margins? Absolutely. Do we make the same money that all the other boat companies make? Not even close. But we build a better boat. We can build it the way you want it. We can build it with the options you want it. I'll have a husband and wife sitting across from me doing a design session, and they'll point out a few little things that I wish it was taller, or I wish this was wider, or I wish it was on this side of the boat instead of that side of the boat. And I'll go, yeah, we can do this. Yeah, we can do that. And I think I can change this. And they'll stop in the middle of a session and they'll look at each other and they'll say, this is so different. And I'll look across the table and I'll go, what do you mean? They said, well, we built lots of boats at other boat companies and everybody says, no, it's the way it comes. And you're able to help us do all these things. And it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling to know that you can give customers that extra added little touch to make that vision in their head complete, you know, especially when they've been boating and they've done it for a while. In some cases, they know what they like, what they don't like, what they wish they would have had. So for them to have the ability to put those little tweaks in place, it's huge. You know, we build boats for, when you start talking about the different markets, you know, we build boats for famous people, athletes, Jeff Gordon, A-Rod, Scottie Pippen, Enrique Iglesias, Gloria Estefan, Larry Silverstein, who owns the Twin Towers of New York. I mean, it's a broad group of people, but I would say the common denominator is they all can afford the best boat in the world. Therefore, they can choose any brand that they want. And that's the philosophy that I tell my team all the time is when you have the reputation of being the best powerboat in the world, even in a down economy, those people are able to still make purchases, but you have to be that brand of choice. And if you're not that brand of choice, you're going to feel that in the down economy more than anybody else. We're blessed to serve people that can afford the best. And being that brand of choice is such an important factor to keeping a company together that builds something that nobody needs. Nobody needs a boat. You know, it's not like we're building houses to live in or cars to drive in. You know, this is discretionary income. So you better be the best.
Yeah. Love it. So how do you create the customer experience? You mentioned the design session. How do you make the whole buying experience great for customers?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that it's very personable. Our sales team at our Dania facility at the Harbortown Marina are amazing. And they are because it's not a job to them. It's a passion. They love working with customers. They're very knowledgeable. All the people on our team down there are extremely knowledgeable, very smart, passionate about the brand. So when they sit down with somebody or they're answering questions in order to sell a boat, that comes through. You know, that comes through to a customer. And the number one thing that even my VP of sales and I talk about all the time is you got to have trust. A customer needs to look across at you and trust you because they're about to give you either hundreds of thousands of dollars or in some cases, millions of dollars for boats that we build. And trust is a huge factor. And making sure that we earn that trust is first and foremost. And that's really where the experience starts. Then through the build process, we send them pictures of the boat being built. They can see at the progress every single week. We send them pictures. They deal directly with myself. They deal directly with my VP of manufacturing or my VP of engineering. They're allowed to come to the factory during the build and see it being built. There's all these things that we allow them to do because we want them to trust us. And we want them to see why we're the best and why they chose us. Then it follows through with the customer service. We have the best customer service team in the industry. They will answer the phone 24 hours a day. It's a person that you're talking to. They care, they get back to you, they follow up. And once again, another group of people that this isn't just a job for them. They represent a brand that they're extremely proud of, and they're proud to say that they're the best, and they back it up.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. It's like a super personalized experience and also with a close relationship with all the team members that are super passionate about boating. And all the boats are different, right? There's no like stock models.
Yeah, but everything is spec'd out. And I think the other part it does is that's how we built what we call the Intrepid Nation. The Intrepid Nation is our family of customers. And that's what it comes down to. Like, we're friends with all of our customers and we know their husbands' names and their wives' names, and we've met their children. They come to events and there are times that they come to events just to say hi, just to hang out with us and just to talk to us and tell us about the fishing trip they were on this summer or what their next trip's going to be, or, to have that kind of relationship with our customer base, our Intrepid Nation, our family is huge. And they feel that the same way that we do. And, it's a club that you want to be in.
Yeah. How are you cultivating and promoting the Intrepid Nation?
Well, we do lots of social posts. We have a bunch of gear and flags, everything that says Intrepid Nation on it. So, we will have a rendezvous, and it's so cool to watch all these boats pull up the raft off together, and they're all flying Intrepid Nation flags, and they're all wearing Intrepid Nation shirts, and
Amazing.
they're proud. They're proud of the brand. They're proud of the family that they belong to, and we're proud to say that we're a part of that.
That's so cool. So Ken, how do you see the luxury center console market or even the boating industry overall changing in the near future? What are some of the trends that you see?
I think the biggest trend that I'm advocating for as well is autonomous driving. As we were talking about earlier, in some cases, boating can be intimidating, and we've taken a lot of that away with joystick control. The outboard companies have done an amazing job with evolving and making it easier to drive a boat. And some of the proof that I have for that is, and it's an opinion, my biggest sellers used to be 30 feet and 32 feet because it's manageable for people coming into boating. That same philosophy is now 40 feet, which is a huge boat for back in the day. But they're able to have that confidence to step into a 40-foot boat because they can control it. They have more confidence they can control it. Everything is a joystick. You can literally turn the knob and have the boat rotate this way or that way. You can lean the joystick over and have the boat go parallel over to the side to dock. So how do you next level that? There's a company, Avicus, that I've been working with that has put together a system so far that has been quite impressive to where it will navigate on its own. It has artificial intelligence to where it can make decisions if it sees a vessel coming. It can identify everything on the screen, whether it's a dock, a channel marker. It can bring you into a slip, turn the boat around. It'll ask you, do you want to go bow to or stern to? Do you want to go port side or starboard? Hit the buttons. It will back you into the slip, hold your position next to the dock. so you can tie off. It's amazing. And that's the future. I think getting the people that might be intimidated by boating because they've never done it, comfortable with that, is going to bring another whole generation of boaters into this, and I think that's the future.
Yeah. It's going to grow the industry.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the challenges that you see for companies in the boating industry that they will face in the near future?
I think the biggest one is labor. I think we're up against the newer generations that aren't real thrilled about building things with their hands. A lot of them are very computer oriented, and we need people to be able to pick up tools and build things and be able to read tape measures. So I do a lot of work with technical colleges. I go to Manatee County Technical College, Pinellas Tech, a lot of these different schools to be able to encourage young people to take this path or take this route and explain to them my path and how I got from where I was as a craftsperson to where I'm at today, and that success and what that's brought me. And also letting them know that in a lot of cases, for you to learn a trade, a craft, that in a lot of cases, you're probably going to be able to demand more than people with 4-year degrees, because those positions have become so rare that they get topped out. It's amazing what plumbers and air conditioning and mechanics and construction people, what they can get paid now, because it's such a lost talent and craft, that when you find somebody that knows how to do that and you're blessed enough to get your hands on, you pay them whatever you need to pay them to make sure that they stay. And looking forward, that's probably the biggest challenge, along with material costs and all those other things that come into play. I think labor is the number one thing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And the last question, Ken, for Intrepid, how do you envision the company and the impact that it will be making differently in, let's say, like 10 years from today?
Well, I hope to still be here 10 years from today. So hopefully I'll be a part of that impact still. But I think just continuing to push the limits, continuing to innovate, continuing to bring new thoughts and ideas to the market, continuing to build the most stout boat out there that families can get on and know that they're going to be safe. In that customer service is making sure that after that sale is complete, after that delivery is done, that we do not abandon them. We don't abandon them. We stay with them. We follow them and always make sure that they're having the experience of their life. Boats are supposed to be fun. When you spend that much money on a boat, it's creating memories. It's creating memories with your family. It's a part of their life. And to be a part of that's huge. To be able to know that you're changing lives to the better and creating those kind of memories is a blessing for us to do. We talk about it all the time here, that, if it wasn't for customers buying our boats, we wouldn't be able to have the luxury of doing what we love to do. And we love to build boats. Like, that's our passion. And we're pretty good at it. We definitely got it down, and we're still learning, still getting better. And that's the other side of it, is you have to always know that regardless where you think you are, we're very prideful people here, and we would love to always say that we're the best powerboat builder in the world. But that also means that you got to keep it, and you got to hold it, and and the other way to do that is keep raising the bar and raising the level and never being satisfied and knowing that you can always do it better. And that's really our philosophy.
So cool. So expanding the impact that you're already making while maintaining the quality and the prestige that you've built, and also innovating to keep changing and improving the industry for the better.
For sure.
Amazing. Ken, thank you so much. You gave so much value. Your story is amazing, and all the lessons that you brought to the podcast. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure that our audience will also learned a lot and appreciate it a lot. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Jose. I appreciate the fact that you were interested enough to ask me the questions, and it was great meeting you. And